So for Cinco de Mayo, it's actually commemorating the Battle of Puebla that took place on May 5th, 1862. What was happening at that time was that Mexican forces, against all odds, were able to achieve a victory over the French, which at the time were trying to establish a foothold in Mexico. And ultimately, France did end up prevailing in the larger conflict, but it was that initial victory that is really seen as a form of Mexican resistance. And so it's less about how it ended up turning out. Like, they had occupied Mexico City for even a point of time, but it was that sort of like lucha and like encapsulating that spirit of resistance that is being celebrated.
Hola comunidad, I'm Cristina Del Hoyo and this is the Museo podcast on air. In this podcast, we share behind the scenes stories from artists, staff, curators, and community members here at Museo to amplify and celebrate the creative voices of Latinos in Denver and beyond. So welcome. We are so happy to have you here. And today I'm here with our educations program coordinator, Semilla Coronado. Hi, Semilla. How are you?
Hola, Cristina. Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Muy bien. So nice to have you on the podcast. So Semi, tell us a little bit about, who you are, how you got involved in Museo, and what you do here.
Yeah, thank you. So, my name is Semi, and I am the education programs coordinator here at Museo. I came into this work primarily in search of community that was culturally affirming and specifically within the arts, because I am an artist myself. I've had my own creative practice for as long as I can remember. And in the past, especially, a lot of my work was focused on my personal experience with Latinidad. And so I started volunteering here at Museo and then eventually saw an opening for this position. And now I've been here for about a year and a half. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so cool. That's something that is very interesting. I feel like a lot of people here at Museo, the people who are part of the staff are, we're artists ourselves. And I think that makes it very special. Also, I think a lot of people start here at Museo volunteering, right? So if you want to get connected to us, volunteering is always like a good way to,
it's a great way to start.
To start, and then you just never know what's going to happen after that. So tell us more about what you do here at Museo. Like, what's your role? You say education programs coordinator. What is that you do, so people know in our audience, like all the little things that you do, because you do a lot.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different hats to wear within the role. Primarily, it's being the main point of contact for our clients. A lot of the times they're coming from schools, libraries, different organizations within the community. And even internationally, we have the pleasure of being able to host groups from beyond our SCFD county umbrella, further out in like mountain towns within the state, outside of state, and even outside of the country at times. And they come in asking about our offerings, our educational programming. And so we get them connected with all of those logistics that they need to know to keep in mind, either for their visit to Museo, or we also bring those workshops out into the community if they have a space to host it themselves. And we also have contractors that we call our maestras, and they're our educators for said workshops and tours. So there's a lot of scheduling involved and email communications. But that being said, we're like the bridge to be able to make those things happen.
That is so cool. Yeah. That's something I really love about Museo, our commitment to education, right? I love, sometimes I'll come to Museo and I'll see all these school groups here learning about right now AfroMexican Journey. And I think that's so special, so unique, so powerful to have this space, for them, and also to have their feedback and to have their energy here. So I think that's wonderful. What is like the favorite part of your job that you're just like, oh my God, I just love when this happens, or when I do this, or something that really brings that spark back and like.
Totally, yeah. Every once in a while, I jump in to teach the workshops or give the tours myself. So yeah, filling in wherever is needed is an important part of the role, having that flexibility. And so it's nice to have that front facing and community engagement piece. A lot of the time it's a good reminder to know that what you're doing behind the screen has real world like implications, and it shapes students' experiences that maybe they don't have a lot of exposure to these sort of community spaces and institutions that oftentimes represent stories that they didn't even know that they were connected to or were being represented in the way that they are here. And it's also nice being able to see the different links in my own personal life and how it connects to my role here at Museo. For example, on like First Fridays, like I'll see so many people from different areas of my life just like coming through, and it's always a nice surprise just to be able to see all the links within the community.
Yeah, like full circle, right?
Yeah.
Like you realize that everything is connected. And I love what you said about the impact, because I feel like all the work that we do here at Museo de las Americas really has a very strong impact in our community. Especially in these times, we need, these voices, a lot. As much as possible, we need to hear diverse voices. And you spoke about First Fridays and how, those are special events where you, connect with a lot of people. And we have our Cinco de Mayo First Friday coming up. It's a very cool and very festive and very big First Friday for us here at Museo and in also the Santa Fe Art District here in Denver. So today we're going to learn a lot about the history behind Cinco de Mayo. Because I feel like a lot of people are a little confused and they feel like some people think Cinco de Mayo is the Mexican Independence Day, which is not. It is on September 16th. So it's not the Mexican Independence Day. So if not, what is it? Why are we celebrating Cinco de Mayo here in the US, here in Denver? We have Semi here that is going to tell us all about it. Enlighten us. Tell us all about it.
There's some things to clear up, So for Cinco de Mayo, it's actually commemorating the Battle of Puebla that took place on May 5th, 1862. And so what was happening at that time was that Mexican forces, against all odds, were able to achieve a victory over the French, which at the time were trying to establish a foothold in Mexico. And ultimately, France did end up prevailing in the larger conflict, but it was that initial victory that is really seen as a form of Mexican resistance. And so it's less about yeah, how it ended up turning out. Like they had occupied Mexico City for even a point of time, but it was that sort of like lucha that and like encapsulating that spirit of resistance that is being celebrated when we have our festivities for Cinco de Mayo.
I love that. Yeah, the resistance and the almost like hope, right? Even though, maybe at the end things look different, but
Yeah, definitely. So it's also evolved to be a much larger cultural celebration here in the United States in comparison to Mexico, which is really interesting. So people often have a misconception that it's Mexican Independence Day, and like you had mentioned before, it's actually on September 16th. But it is also a time where people are celebrating Mexican American heritage in particular. And so a lot of communities within the US are holding these festivities. And it's really interesting, actually, because the popularity here surged in the latter part of the 20th century, partly due to marketing efforts. And what you'll see,
of course,
I know,
it's
right?
always about marketing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you'll even see that actually the beer sales around the time of year for Cinco de Mayo is comparable to the Super Bowl. So it kind of goes to show like the level of engagement that this celebration is getting, and how prominent these Mexican American communities are within our borders, but beyond, right? And how a lot of people that are participating in these festivities maybe aren't necessarily of the culture, but it's a good opportunity to learn more, and so it's good to be able to clarify what we're actually celebrating.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you so much, Semi. That's actually really interesting information. And it makes sense that it's bigger here, right, in the US than in Mexico, since we're also kind of like celebrating, Mexican Americans too as well. So, I was thinking about what you were saying about, that battle and the celebration of the resistance. And I was thinking about how that is so important in that, that component is so important in the current exhibition that we have here at Museo, which is AfroMexican Journey, Yanga, Slavery and Freedom. And it's all about resistance. If you come here and you see all the artwork that we have here, resistance is one of the big topics of this exhibition. So now that we're talking about Cinco de Mayo history, how do you feel that history can be connected to the story behind our current exhibition about the Afro-Mexican journey?
Yeah, so I've found there to be some links between our current exhibition and the celebration of Cinco de Mayo once I really started digging deeper into the history for both of them. And I find that a key component that unites them is challenging of dominant narratives that are told in history. Like what are the pieces of history that are actually taught? What are the ones that are strategically left out? And who does that benefit? And who does it not?
And who decides?
And who decides?
And who decides
Who's
what's
behind the
in
curtain?
the books and what's out of the books?
Yeah.
I think that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that sort of like invisibility and like lack of acknowledgement is like a void that should be investigated further. And yeah, another link that I was thinking about was historical erasure and the recovery and reclaiming of that. Oftentimes when folks have come into the Afro-Mexican Journey exhibition here, what I hear a lot is that they didn't even know. They didn't even know that this history not only took place, but is actively unfolding in communities and people's lives to this day. There's also a broader context of Mexican identity that is pulled into question when looking at both Cinco de Mayo and the Afro-Mexican journey, because maybe folks have like a specific idea of what it means to be Mexican without really knowing all of the nuances that play a part in the formation of that identity within like a broader context of like the nation itself, but also people's individual and lived experiences. And overall like a symbolism of resistance, which I think is like the pulse of that identity. So yeah, the more that you think about it, the more connections that you're able to make. So that's been one of my favorite parts, as well as being able to see how it all is interconnected.
Yes. And I love it because we're all learning, right? Like, I do have some Mexican friends that saw the exhibition, and they said the same thing. I had no idea that happened, in my country, and I feel that's the purpose of all of this, right? Learning and also reclaiming, as you said. I think that's also very important. So I know that you do also tours, right, for our school groups. So you already said that some of the feedback that you've heard is that I didn't even know that this happened, all of these stories. Any other feedback that you've thought that was very interesting or powerful that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, definitely. There's a portion of the exhibition that goes into migration is a huge part of it, whether it was like forced or then like voluntary in an effort to seek freedom from enslavement. And being able to see people's reactions when they find out the involvement of like the U.S. in that history. But also for me, what that brings up is, and maybe this is what comes up for other people as well, of like how trivial borders can be, because a lot of these like historical wars and like disputes are over like who has
this piece of land.
who has this piece of land, without really taking into account like what are the communities of people like culturally that are being affected by this, that aren't formed really by like these imaginary lines that are drawn on a map by some like monarch like thousands of miles away, and being able to see the camaraderie within communities of indigenous people that are continuously being oppressed by our government, and the ways in which they were also able to support and be supported by these escaped captives, and the fusion of those cultures and how it births new cultures, new groups of people and identities.
New identities, yes. Yeah, it's definitely, we can talk for many hours about this. I think it's such an interesting topic, and and we can just keep digging deeper, but we want you to come to the exhibition and also create your own experience and your own thoughts and feelings about these exhibitions, because as Semi said, it's very profound, and there is a lot of pain and joy, and it's a whole journey, right? So we invite you to come. And then also I want to talk about the last piece of this interview, which is workshops. I know that besides tours, you also facilitate and coordinate workshops here, educational workshops for school groups. So tell us a little bit about what kind of workshops people can book here at Museo de las Americas, and how they can book it, which is also very, I think it completes the experience. You come, you see the exhibition, and then you get a tour, and then you get a workshop. I think all of that makes the experience like really complete and holistic.
So our cultural workshops focus on different Latin American heritages, and there is an accompaniment of an art activity with each one. So related to Cinco de Mayo, a lot of them are coming from the like Mexican American, and Chicano experience. So our workshops highlight different cultures within Latin America, such as Guatemala and Puerto Rico, and more local cultures as well, such as the Chicano movement and the way that had a role here in our Denver community and within the Santa Fe neighborhood specifically. And so groups are able to come in and add on a guided or self-guided tour, which the Bloomberg Connects app is a great way.
Thank you, Semi. Thank you for reminding us.
No, really, the app is a great resource for groups that want to come in and maybe are working with a budget that, and that's the thing too, we're more than willing to make our offerings accessible and work with people on a case-by-case basis to be able to get them in, because that's really the most important piece, is being able to engage the community in that way. But it's a great way to get some more in-depth insight on specific pieces within the exhibition that you wouldn't be able to know just by looking at the placards in passing.
Something that I feel like is also very cool is that when you get a guided tour, you can also ask questions, right? And it's great, because otherwise, I feel like when you see an exhibition, you usually have questions, right? So you can ask Semi, and Semi, has all the answers.
Well, maybe not all the answers. I feel like if anything, the questions lead to more questions, right? But that's what makes it really fun, is
the dialogue, right?
Yeah, the dialogue, and being able to bounce off of each other. And every time there is something like some sort of interpretation that never came up for me but came up for somebody else, and it makes it all that much more rich,
Yes, and I think that's also the point of art, right? It's like creating these dialogues, these conversations, this feedback, this kind of like movement, right, of emotions or thoughts, or all of these stories. And so I think the guided tours and the workshops also, because as you said, you integrate that knowledge, those feelings, those ideas, and then you are also doing something hands-on, which is also powerful and in a way, transformational.
Yeah. There is also like dialogue that goes into the workshops as well. We do our best to give a pretty like comprehensive overview, though it's something that we could talk about for hours, of the historical background or cultural like context that we're working with. And then introducing the art activity to really put that knowledge into practice.
Awesome. That's wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much, Semi. Anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we wrap up this section of the episode?
Yeah, I'd love to invite everyone listening and watching to come to Museo de las Americas May 2nd for our May 1st Friday Cinco de Mayo celebration. There's going to be baile folklorico, and you'll have an opportunity to check out the exhibition for yourself.
First Fridays are always a vibe. We always have our vendors, our music, our good energy, and ballet folklorico is always so beautiful to see. So everyone come and see us. And also our thank you so much, Semi. I know I said it already, but it's so wonderful to interview you. You're amazing.
This was so fun.
Yeah. And our current exhibition, AfroMexican Journey, Yanga, Slavery, and Freedom, is going to be on view at Museo de las Américas until July 13th. So make sure you come visit us. I know some people have come several times because it's a very as I said, profound exhibition.
There's so much to unpack.
Yes. I feel like sometimes people come and then they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I'm going to bring my friends or my family members, and they come again. So yeah, just come as many times as you like. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. It's always so wonderful to have you on the other side. Thank you for your support. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure that you share it with your friends, family members, your networks. Hit that like button. It's very important that you like it, that you share it, that you comment on it. Please share feedback. And all of that supports us in this new initiative that is this podcast. So yeah, thank you so much. Hasta la próxima.